like your show.
How did I get here? Welcome to the Shipe Sports Show.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another episode of the Shipe Sports Talk Show. I am your host and new Turkey Bowl champion coach, Matthew Shipe. As you can see the trophy behind me, my team was victorious in the Turkey Bowl this year, 38-32. We'll get to that game in a minute. But I'm joined always by my awesome co-host and producer, Paul.
What's up? What's up?
And
Congratulations,
joined by
Matt. I'm
what'd you say,
honored to
Paul?
be in your presence, the Turkey Bowl winner or whatever it is.
And joined always by my two amazing co-hosts, the best co-hosts anyone could have on a podcast, Anthony and Chris. How you two doing today?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
What's going on? Congratulations on your trophy. I don't know if I share the same elation Paul does about being graced with your presence, but
I'm going to need
Congratulations.
you to sign my
Well,
sign my
congratulations to you on your re-signing. Why don't you go ahead and talk about that real quick before we get going? Who did the
Oh.
Mets just re-sign for
the Mets
4
signed
years?
someone? I don't know, man. I don't even remember. Is it this guy right here? Mr. Cespedes? Oh, man. I'll tell you what. It's a great feeling. I really was worried that he was going to walk, so to get him back on the team before we even really get into winter meetings is a huge addition. So I'm excited to have him back, and let's hope they continue to
4
build.
years,
But,
$110 million.
yep,
Whew.
$27.5 million, second highest annual for a player, right behind Mr. Cabrera. So he's in good company when it comes to that. But like I said, man, if you look at the numbers prior to his arrival in the trade 2 years ago, I mean, that's single-handedly to me, he makes that offense 10 wins better, just him alone, and it's relevant if you look at it in both years. Like I said, they made the playoffs, they made it all the way to the World Series. Last year with all the injuries, they still made the wild card once he returned, and he had another stellar season. So I think it's a must to have him on the team, and I'm glad to see him back, especially with all the uncertainty with a lot of these other injuries we had this year. So we'll see how it pans out. And if the pitching comes back healthy, I think you got to like the Mets' chances this early out already on paper.
Yep. So real quick, the Turkey Bowl, talk about that real quick. Halftime, we were down 24-6, man, and you played, pretty much everyone always went for two. Halftime, we're down, roared back, won 38-32, had a game-winning reception with about under a minute left. It was 4th and 2, and I'm on the sidelines coaching, and we lined up. They got no one on wide receiver. I am screaming at the quarterback to just hike the ball. He hiked it, rolled left, wide open. There we go. It was the guy who I beat, Coach Hot Dog. He's been since they've started this. This is the 4th year. He's won the past 3 years, so he finally. His little Patriot dynasty came to an end because he is a Patriots fan.
His
there you
Patriot dynasty.
Hey, I
That's
made
funny.
sure they checked the balls before we started the game, too.
Yeah, that's
there it
suspect
is.
right there. That's definitely suspect.
So we have a jam-packed show today. First, we're going to talk some college football. The new rankings came out. We're going to get one little scenario I think I've discussed with both of you about what could happen this weekend in the conference championships. Then we'll do our fantasy football focus segment, followed by some soccer, because I think we have a big matchup this Saturday, don't we, Chris?
Yeah, we do.
So let's get right into college football. New rankings came out. We got number 1 Alabama. Everyone, really, no-brainer. We got 2 Ohio State, 3 Clemson, and 4 making their return is Washington. So this past week, instant classic between Ohio State and Michigan, winning double OT. Ohio State won. I think J.T. Barrett was short by half an inch, but
I was just about to ask you guys, what do you guys think about that
think he was
that
short.
4th down play?
I think he was short.
It was close, man.
You think there was a home field advantage there?
Oh, yeah, the whole game you could tell there was. There was a couple missed calls there.
Yeah.
Nice to see Harbaugh broke his headset. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
I think he was short. But so line up this week. We got Clemson versus Virginia Tech for the ACC championship. It's great to see the Hokies back in that. They have a great junior quarterback transfer from JUCO. Great wide receiver in Ford. He's probably going to be a top 2 round pick next year. We have Western Michigan 12-0 going against Ohio. Colorado versus Washington. Now, this game has a lot of things for Washington on the line. I think if Washington wins this game, they're definitely going to be in the playoffs. They lose, opens the door maybe for Michigan to maybe knock him back in. So we'll get to that. Temple versus Navy in the AAC. Because of Navy playing in this game, the Maryland High School State football title games, the high school, actually had to be pushed back a week. They were supposed to play this Friday, Saturday. They got pushed back. So high schools are getting the Super Bowl treatment where they get 2 weeks off before their championship games, which is kind of cool. We have Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, not a title, excuse me, not for a title. It's just, the way Big 12 needs to get a championship or they're going to be falling behind on these college football playoffs. Baylor, West Virginia. And then you have Bama versus Florida and the SEC title game. Obviously, everyone's thinking Bama's going to roll in that. Obviously, I think still Bama loses to Florida. They're still going to be in the playoffs. There's no way an SEC team does not make it. Hate to say it, the playoff system always been biased for at least one of them to get in. I'm sure you two can agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. If they lose, they're still in there.
They're getting in. Yeah, they might fall to 4, but even that, I think they'd probably fall to 3 if they lose.
And
it depends
now,
on the loss, but
the big game of the night, Wisconsin versus Penn State, and this is where we get to the question. Ohio State, they beat Michigan, but guess what? They lost to Penn State earlier in the year. Penn State gets the jump in. So here comes the question. Either way, Penn State 7, Wisconsin sits. Now Wisconsin lost to both Michigan and Ohio State back-to-back weeks. First of all, that's crappy scheduling that they had to play both those teams back-to-back weeks. I'm sure we all can agree that's almost not fair. So here's the next big question: if Penn State wins the Big Ten championship, do they deserve to get the jump over Ohio State because they beat them? Obviously, Ohio State only has one loss in their record, and that's to Penn State. So, Anthony, I'm going to ask you this question first. Penn State wins the Big Ten championship, and let's say Washington wins theirs. Clemson, let's say all the teams wins. Ohio State's the only one that's idle. Does Penn State deserve to be in that 4th spot?
if everyone loses, I think that Penn State or Wisconsin, whoever wins that matchup, should be the 4th seed. As far as Ohio State getting jumped in order for them being idle and them not technically playing for their title, no, I don't think they should get jumped. Michigan, yes, I think they should get jumped since they're going to be outside the top 4. But I really think that Alabama and Ohio State are virtually locks to be in the playoffs. I think Clemson and Washington's where it's going to get interesting. Now, if Clemson and Washington win, I think that your Final Four are set. I think, if anything, those two might get pushed ahead of Ohio State, and Ohio State might drive back maybe to 3 or 4. But Ohio State, I think, without one of those two teams losing, I don't really see any of those teams
I have a question for
jumping
you.
in.
With you saying Ohio State drops back, this all revolves around money and viewership. Do you think the committee would really put Ohio State at 4 and have them face Bama right off the bat, knowing that?
I think they'll drop to 3. That's what I'm saying.
Do you think they'll try to save that for the title game? The best they could.
I think that the money, if you want to talk about smart money, is to leave Washington at 4 because they expect that to be a rollover game for Alabama. That's what they're going to think.
Alabama also thought a couple years ago Ohio State.
I'm not saying that me personally. That's what I'm saying.
I'm
I
just saying
think that's what they're thinking
years.
in the decision making when it comes to that. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Now, if you're going to use that they're idle, if both of those teams win championship games, how can you justify that they don't jump to 2? That one of them doesn't jump Ohio State since they won't be playing for their title at all. But I think it's going to be that whoever wins of Wisconsin and Penn State, I think they're going to be the number 5 team, and they're going to be the team outside looking in.
I think that's fair. Now, Ohio State, Wisconsin, I can understand beating Ohio State. Ohio State beat them, obviously. But for Penn State, could you really almost look at that team and be like, hey, look, we know you won the championship. We know you beat Ohio State, but they have 1 loss. You have 2. And the other loss for Penn State, they lost to Michigan and Pittsburgh early in the year. They started the season 2-2 and then just went on a roll. Iowa, a team that beat Michigan, they beat 41-14. They beat Michigan State, Maryland. Their only big win this year was probably Ohio State. So,
and unfortunately, the loss column is what's going to come into play here.
Chris,
they have 2 losses despite beating Ohio State. They have 2. Ohio State has the 1. Yes, it's Penn State, but it's not going to warrant them from getting jumped here.
Chris, do you agree?
Yeah, my question is, since the playoffs have been created, from what I've read or from what I understand, the committee is supposed to first look at conference championships. Well, conference champions, basically. So if somehow everybody wins and all of a sudden, it's a race to get in there, this is going to be the first time that we kind of have to figure out who or how we get to look into their minds and see how are they going to grade these teams, because it's not going to be who's the champion anymore. It's going to be who they think the best team is, which honestly I don't know. I mean, this is tight race at the end, especially if everybody wins at the end.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, and that you're going to have a team that's not their conference champion be
Right.
possibly is ranked as high as 2 in the final poll.
All right, well, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do this. I'm gonna list off the games. You let me know who wins. Bama and Florida. Can we all agree Alabama?
Alabama,
Yeah,
yeah.
Alabama
I'll
should
agree
win that.
Washington and Colorado. That's kind of an interesting game. Who do you two have? And then I'll give mine. That's a very interesting game, isn't it?
Colorado had a big game last week too against was it Utah, right,
Utah.
this past week? Man, I'm going to stick with Washington. I think Colorado definitely has the chance here. Unfortunately, it won't catapult them into the playoffs, but it will do, it'll put them a little bit higher and definitely get them talking in a big bowl game. But I think Washington will secure the win here and secure their spot in the playoffs.
All right, Chris, who do you got in that
Yeah,
game?
no, I agree right there. Washington wins. They beat Colorado.
I'm gonna go with Colorado in this one because they got their starting QB. When he was in the game against Michigan, they were up 21-0 on Michigan. He got hurt. Michigan came back. They've been rolling ever since that game pretty good. I'm gonna go with the upset here and take Colorado over Washington. I think this is gonna be an upset.
Well, that would clear it up a little bit for us, I think.
That would help out a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you throw who in the place now if they win that.
If Washington were
That's going to be based off
the
your
win-
Big
if
Ten
Washington
champion.
loses, the winner of Wisconsin Penn State gets in.
Okay.
Yep.
You don't think Michigan just jumps
I
to 4?
I do not think so. No.
No.
Okay. That's fair. I agree with you
They'll
on that.
have two
So
losses the same as the conference championship guy. Then that's when that happens. So
that's
really-
where that should come into play. Like Chris said, that the conference title should take precedent. I agree with that.
Yeah.
all right, Clemson, Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Clemson.
Clemson. Next one?
Clemson should win that.
Okay. Now the big one of the night, Wisconsin or Penn State. Let's go.
I'm going to take Wisconsin in that game. I think Wisconsin will win that game. They've played every game tough. They have a lot of gritty wins against games they need to win, and I think they'll find a way to win that game.
Chris.
It's going to be really tight. I'm going to go, I think, with the underdog, Penn State, just to make things interesting.
Oh yeah.
This is such a tough game to pick. I'm going to go with Penn State as well. So let's say the conference championships are over. Who is your top 4 next Tuesday? Who do you all got? Anthony, let's start with you real quick.
I'm going to stick with the 4 you have right now because I don't see any of those teams losing. Like I said, maybe just a difference in the numbers, but I don't see Washington losing, and I think that's the only team that's really would be the one that would lose the most here. If Washington does lose, like you said, to Colorado, I definitely see Wisconsin jumping in at 4 and taking that spot, with my predictions at least. But I think as far as it's concerned, I think that it's going to be that. The top 4 will stay the top 4, other than maybe a number here or there. Now, let me ask you this. If, say, Clemson loses and Washington loses, who do you think jumps in? You think you have a chance at 3 Big Ten teams? You think
Three.
Michigan gets the spot?
You say and
Yeah,
Washington
if
loses?
3 and 4 both lose. Clemson loses their title game. Washington loses
I'm going to
theirs.
shock you here. I'm going to go whoever wins Penn State, Washington, and I'm going to say Colorado.
So you think if Colorado beats Washington and
think
Clemson loses, that
I think
Colorado
they-
would
I
jump
think
in
they
and get
could
the
jump
4th spot?
in. And if they say conference titles mean they could jump over Michigan, like once I say again, same record, title win.
Yeah, and then, I mean, do you think there's any chance? You think if 3 of those teams lose, you think Michigan still gets in somehow? Like if it ends up being that Clemson loses, Washington loses, and then say Wisconsin loses, so Penn State would get in. Do you think Michigan's the 3rd team, or you think that you're saying Colorado is definite
I
to
think
play?
Colorado.
So you think Colorado, if they win their title game, they get the 4th spot. Michigan just stays outside of it.
Yep.
I would have to agree. Just looking at the scenarios here.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's so crazy how this situation could go down if that were to happen. And Ohio State, like I said, is kind of just sitting there. They're sitting
there
pretty
and
right
waiting.
now. Yeah, because they think right now it looks good, but there's a chance that if stuff
They're-
goes haywire, man, that they could get tossed out of there.
All right.
And I hope that they do. Like Chris said, it should be based on. I understand, like they have less, but if teams are winning outside of it, I think they have to be in the discussion.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't even think
it's
Michigan should be in the discussion if it's down to Wisconsin or them. I think, or Penn State and them. It should be Penn State or Wisconsin over Michigan, easy. So.
Yeah, I agree. And the weird thing is, of course, they always have that verbiage in there that says, but they reserve the right to pick the 4 teams that they think are the best to go into the playoffs. So, I mean, that's basically saying, yeah, we're looking for championships, but we don't care. We're gonna do what's best for maybe the ratings or for the money.
Always
So
the money.
It's going to
Yep.
be interesting to see how this plays out. But I really think it should be the conference championships.
So Chris,
Champions that
who
get
you
in.
got then?
Well, I think Bama and Clemson are in there. Again, Bama, even if they lose, are in there. Clemson, if they lose, I mean they could certainly fall out. But I think they've got a lock on Virginia Tech. Man, this is going to be tough. I did choose Washington to beat Colorado, so I think Washington stays in there. And then it's Penn State or Ohio State.
Well, who you pick?
Yeah, I'm picking Ohio State.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with I picked Colorado and I picked Penn State, so I'm gonna go with Bama 1, Clemson 2. I'm gonna go 3 Ohio State and 4 Penn State.
I thought you said
Wow.
Colorado.
I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm gonna go. I'm sorry, 3
Wrong.
Penn State, 4 Colorado. I'm sorry.
So you have Ohio State getting dropped out.
Yeah,
Yep.
you have Ohio
Sorry,
State.
I got two conference winners in there. Just come on, it's as someone
Not going to happen.
looking at someone like, oh, cool, you won your conference title. You're a Power 5. We don't care. I
Now,
can't.
Let me ask you
Yeah.
this:
That's
will
great.
it make a bigger difference if Penn State wins, and that's Ohio State's only loss, and that's why they clarify that? Well, they lost. Their only loss was to their conference champion. That's why Ohio State stays in the top 4. Do you
Now,
think that's
yes,
a
that
legitimate reason
argument-
to
that
rank them in the
argument
top
is
4?
Very good. I like that argument, but really, I really think the committee right now probably wants. God, they probably just want Washington to win and just.
I think
Let-
the committee wants Washington out. They want any way they want to try and find Washington out because they don't think that they should be there. That's
Yeah,
why they didn't
that-
rank
Right.
them there all year. It took them what? What were they 9-0 by the time they finally got ranked in the top
What
4?
really could put this in a limbo is if Clemson and Washington both get upset, and then we're really going to have a
Mm-hmm.
thing about.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
And then we'll really know what in the world they're looking for.
Yep.
At that point.
Yeah, but Virginia Tech, there's no way they jump up though. But I'm sorry, Virginia Tech.
Oh, absolutely
Even
not.
if
Yeah,
they win,
no,
there's
no,
no way.
no.
Sorry, guys.
No.
All right, so
That'll
all
be
right,
fun.
That's our football segment, college football. I'm sorry. Get ready for Saturday, man. We got games all lined up, so let's see what happens. So we're
Shout
gonna-
out to Maryland. They
Yep.
got their 6th win.
they got a bowl game. Well,
got
they
a bowl
better
game.
got their sixth win. They were playing Rutgers, for God's sake.
Shout out to Stefan Diggs today too. It's actually his birthday.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, Stephon Diggs. That's right.
So we're gonna move on to our weekly fantasy focus segment, and we're gonna start with something new this week. We're gonna start with one player who was a stud this week and one player who was a dud from the past week. So Chris, we'll start with you. Who was your stud?
Whew,
You ain't
stud.
gotta say stats or nothing. Just say the stud, and then maybe you can put up how many fantasy points he racked up.
Let's see. Well, my stud from the week, who actually won me a little bit of money in, I think it was FanDuel where I played a double up, was Colin Kaepernick. No one was on him this week, and all of a sudden he burst onto the scene.
Can't
Well,
believe
not really,
I-
not really all of a sudden, because he's been on an upward
Can you
trend.
blur out his name? I don't even acknowledge that on the
Oh
show.
God! Well, Colin Kaepernick, he
He's a
played lights out. He got a lot of points this weekend. He's my stud.
I had
How
to
many-
put him. I had to. He was a third choice for me because Luck was injured.
Yeah.
My other backup quarterback or whatever was poo poo, and then this. So
Yeah.
he was the only one that was left in the wire, so I picked him up.
By the way, how
glad.
I'd rather play a bag of Funyuns than Colin
Just real
Kaepernick.
quick, we're gonna say just one thing. How dumb can you be to wear a Fidel Castro jersey in my shirt in Miami? Like, really? How dumb can you be?
Let's
He just
not
wants
even
the
go there.
attention now. It's
He
retarded.
definitely just wants the attention.
Yeah. All right, sorry about that. Chris, who was your dud?
My dud, Brandon Cooks, 0 targets, all game. In a game that the Saints put up huge numbers, Brandon Cooks, 0 targets.
All right, Anthony, your stud.
My stud is. I told you I was going to go with him, but I'm going to stick to. I'll go to a position player. I got Antonio Brown, 3 touchdowns in the Thanksgiving game. huge, came up big for me in fantasy. Another guy that had a huge game you really hadn't heard much from was Mark Ingram. Had 146 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, 1 receiving and 1 rushing. And then for my dud, again, another guy at 0 targets, been a great fantasy Eric Ebron. Didn't have a single reception in the game against Minnesota. But I do want to mention, I said I would mention him. Justin Tucker had 19 fantasy points for a kicker. That's a heck of a week.
Yep.
All right, so for my stud, gotta go with Ryan Tannehill, man. Put up 26.8 points in fantasy. Had a great week. You know, he's been slowly this 6-win streak for the Dolphins. He's been playing great out of his mind lately. So, you know, good for him to finally get going. Because I mean, they were 1-4, and they were saying Tannehill, you're probably gonna be gone, but maybe he's playing himself into next year. And my dud this week, I thought he was going to actually put up some good points this week, but actually I have 2 duds this week. They're on the same
I've got
team.
plenty of duds too.
One, Russell Wilson, 12 points against Tampa Bay, and 2,
The team scored 5.
yeah, and the Seattle's defense for letting that game get away. Yeah, you can almost say Tampa Bay's defense was a stud. They got 26 points, I think.
Yeah, they did really well.
19. I'm sorry, they put up 19 points for a defense.
The offense was what really hurt them there. I mean, those 2 touchdowns were they in the? I think they were both in the first quarter, weren't they? Winston and Evans.
Yeah.
I don't think they scored it. I don't think they scored anything the second half whatsoever. I mean, it was just it got ugly quick.
Wilson was definitely a dud this weekend. You know, the whole offense, Baldwin, Rawls, I mean, anything you got. So, and the reason he got those 12 points was, I mean, he put up 40-something rushing yards. So you take those rushing yards away, it's an 8-point game for him.
Yeah.
Not good for someone who's considered elite in the NFL now. So let's move on now to our stardom sit-em.
Oh my God! I just looked at the fantasy from last week. I didn't realize I lost last week by like 40 tenths of a point.
What?
0.4?
0.4?
Yeah, 0.4.
Wow.
Let me see. Yeah, 165.94 to 166.30. Son of a bitch. Colin Kaepernick got me 40 points, man.
Yeah, Kaepernick put up major points this weekend.
Oh my God, this is I can't believe that happened. Oh, he had
The rest-
Drew Brees.
I was gonna say the rest of your team must have stunk.
Who's Graham? Graham's great.
Jimmy
team.
Graham.
No,
Wasn't
Graham's
bad.
great
I
team,
had
he said.
40, 15. I mean, there was 1, 2. I mean, they did good. D. Johnson gave me 30 points. Got 30 points
David,
from Ingram. Crabtree gave me 19.
You have David Johnson and Ingram. Oh wow, and you lost. Oh man, that's rough.
That's crazy.
By like,
Yeah.
but he went crazy. Breeze,
That's
Brown, Sanders, Moncrief.
Oh yeah.
Ivory. Okay, sorry. I can't believe I lost. I'm upset. I'm gonna go cry.
All right, so let's get into our stardom sit-ems real quick. You know, just say who you got. I'll start with quarterback. My stardom this week, Matt Stafford of the Lions. You're going against New Orleans. New Orleans defense. I took him, didn't I?
Yep, that's already off the rip.
Going against New Orleans, man. New Orleans defense, you know, it's not the best. So that's my start. My sit-em this week, Blake Bortles against Denver. Bortles hasn't done anything all year. They got 2 wins. You're going against Denver. Sorry, you got Bortles in your lineup. You
Good
better
luck.
put him out right now.
Good luck.
Chris,
For my stardom, I'm gonna
take
go.
another one of Anthony's.
I was gonna say I'm gonna go to the other side of this game, and that's Drew Brees coming off a huge game.
Well, he's shaking his head. Look, he doesn't know what to do anymore.
Drew
I'm
Brees
looking.
coming off a huge game. I think this could be a really high scoring game. The Lions against not the Patriots, the Saints.
Your sit-em?
My sit-em, I'm gonna go with Russell Wilson. I think it's another tough matchup. It's gonna be a defensive matchup against the Carolina Panthers. He obviously didn't have a good week last week, and I think he's gonna struggle again this week.
All right, Anthony.
All right, for stardom, I'm gonna go with. I'm looking at it now. I'm gonna go with Kirk Cousins. The Cardinals' defense is not the Cardinals' defense of old. They've looked pretty rough, and the Redskins got to come up with a big game, especially losing the division game last week. Yeah. So, and then for my sit-em, I'm actually gonna go with Matt Ryan. They're playing the Kansas City defense. I mean, I just don't think he's gonna have the flashy numbers. I'm not saying he's not gonna still have a decent game, but he's not gonna be throwing, how he's been leading the league in a lot of, stats for quarterbacks. I don't think that's gonna happen against the Kansas City defense.
Yeah, I
And
think
what a
he's-
game that was between them and the Broncos on Sunday night.
Man. That's a great
Wow.
game. I think he's leading the league in passing yards, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
I think so. Yeah.
And Kirk Cousins is number 2.
Well, he's right there.
Yeah,
All right,
what
let's
last
go.
2 games he had something like 800 yards or something like that? Is that right?
It was,
He's
Something.
I don't know,
barely
some
behind
crazy
Breeze
stat.
for
He had a
passing.
great game against the Cowboys. It was
He's
just they.
47 behind Breeze.
Who?
Oh,
Who?
my God.
Kirk Cousins for the lead in passing yards. He's
Oh, so
47.
Breeze is
Where's
first.
Ryan?
Ryan is third then.
Ryan's like it's 34 is 24 behind Kurt.
Yeah, so
They all got over
He's in third.
it's
3,500.
Breeze, Kirk, and
Ryan.
Ryan.
I'm gonna be
That's-
honest. I know you guys don't care. You know who's eighth on that list? I'm very shocked in this year about.
Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, I'm totally shocked that he's eighth. Come on, you got it. Come on, eighth.
I mean, but the way you say it, you know who it is, and I'm shocked. Like it couldn't have been the guy that's on your favorite
Of
team.
course.
Eli's
Heavy.
10th. So I mean, Eli's in the top 10.
I don't care about that. I just worry about. I want to win. I don't worry about all that.
All right, so let's get to our running backs. Anthony, we'll let you start since you got taken away this last time.
That's all right. For running back, I took. I'm taking Carlos Hyde, San Francisco, against Chicago, and then for my sit-em, both of these guys, whoever you want to go, T.J. Yeldon or Chris Ivory against Denver. Last week, Blake Bortles led the team in rushing yards. That's a problem when your quarterback's leading your team in rushing yards for the game. So I don't like either of those guys against that defense.
All right. I'm gonna go with running back Jordan Howard against San Francisco. San Francisco's run defense has not been the best at all this year. So I'm going to go Jordan Howard from the Bears. He just had a good game actually against Tennessee, just didn't score a touchdown at all. And my sit-em this week, any Green Bay running back, don't play him. You don't know, because the past 5 weeks, they've had a different leader in rushing. The past 5 weeks, 2 of them have been Aaron Rodgers. This past week was Rodgers. So you really don't know what's going on in that backfield. So don't start anyone from Green Bay. Actually, if you have them in your roster, you might as well just drop them because you can't trust anyone. Chris, you're smiling like I just took your Green Bay one.
No, well, you did. I had James Starks in there. Really, there's no consistency in the backfield. So
All right, so who's your starter? You can say with that. Who's your starter?
no, I have other ones.
Okay,
I have
go
other
ahead.
options.
Start 'em.
So stardom, you got to go with Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, he's pretty much matchup proof. I mean, there's no way he's not going to get at least a touchdown or 80 yards, pretty much in this game. Sit, I'm going to go with Jerick McKinnon, the other running back on the other side of that game. He just really hasn't been producing. Asiata is the one getting the goal line touches, really. So if anyone's going to get points, it's going to be Asiata.
All right, let's go to wide receivers now. And Chris.
I'm going to go with Mike Evans. He's been beasting out week in and week out. And against the San Diego Chargers defense that's not the greatest, I expect him to do the same thing. Him and Jameis Winston have just been connecting like crazy.
Okay, who's your sit-em?
Sit him. I'm going to go with Deshaun Jackson. I know he just had a good week this week. He had that good home run play against Dallas. But against Patrick Peterson, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to have the same type of game. I mean, they basically limited Julio Jones to nothing this past week. I think he only got 30 yards. So I would be sitting Deshaun Jackson this week.
Anthony?
All right, receiver. I originally had Mike Evans, so I'm going to switch it to Emmanuel Sanders.
Okay.
I think he'll have another good game against Jacksonville's defense. Again, I say it every week, a team I really had high hopes for and really just not making it happen. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there's some analysts that said that Bortles is atrocious and that if Henny was the quarterback, they'd be 6-5 right now. I don't know if you saw that.
Wow. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what someone said. But
Whatever.
my sit-em, number 1 receiver in the league. I like the Giants secondary a lot. I think Antonio Brown is not going to have near the performance he had last week. I actually think they're not even going to let him score a touchdown.
I was going to say, maybe not 3 touchdowns, but maybe like 2. You know what I mean? So
I don't think he'll have 1. I'll go that crazy. I'll go that bold. That's my
All
bold
right, that's your
prediction.
bold
Antonio Brown
prediction.
does not score a touchdown
There you
against
go.
the Giants.
All right.
All right. I'm going to go
first
with
play of the game now, 80 yards to him. Is
Yeah,
gonna
right.
happen, so.
my stardom is actually going to be Amari Cooper. I mean, what more can we say about this guy? He's just lighting up the lead right now, especially David Carr back there at quarterback. Derek Carr. I'm
Derek.
sorry. Keep getting him confused with his older, not as talented brother.
It was funny. They actually interviewed him, and they said that he answers to both names. Doesn't matter. He's just gonna say, "Hey, how's it going? Yeah, it's all good."
And then my sit-em is going to be Calvin Benjamin going against Seattle's secondary. I just don't think he's going to get going there. I think the main target against Seattle either is going to be the run or Greg Olsen. I just think they're going to put. We just lost Anthony.
He'll be back.
There he is. He's back. All right, so yeah, start
Yeah.
start Cooper, sit Kelvin. So let's go ahead and move to tight ends. I'll start, and I'm gonna go with Jordan Reed. The kind of day that he had last week, especially come back with that, shoulder sprain, whatever it was. Just an incredible guy back there, and I'm gonna sit Julius Thomas going against Denver. I know it's his former team, but I don't think he's gonna do that much. So yep, Chris.
I am going to start Travis Kelsey. He's a monster. I really think you back?
I'm
Nice.
here.
I think we
So
got
I'm
that.
gonna Travis Kelsey. I think is probably the top five, if not top four tight ends in terms of athletic ability, being able to get open, matchup beast in terms of outrunning a linebacker and out muscling a safety. So I think he's pretty much matchup proof. And I'm gonna sit Antonio Gates. I think he also had 0 points this past week. I don't know what it is. He was getting back to back 8-9 target games, and all of a sudden he just disappeared. So I don't know if he was injured. I don't know if it's the season. His age is just catching
Don't
up
say
to
that. I
him.
have to play him this week because Walker's on a bye.
I would pick up someone else, man. If there's anyone else available, I'd pick him up because he completely disappeared.
All right, Anthony, tight ends.
I don't know who was said, so I know Kelsey. I heard. I'm gonna go with Jimmy Graham against Carolina
Okay.
at Stardom, and then for sit, I'm going with Dwayne Allen. I know he had more of a offensive set with Tolzien because he really relied on him, getting a lot more targets. But I think with Luck back, I don't see him continuing that trend this week coming up.
All right, so that is our fantasy focus segment of the week. We're going to start doing the starts and duds till the end of the year, and we're getting close to crunch time. If you have a six team playoff, they start next week, so this is a lot of people's finals week. If you do a 4-man, you still have 1 week left, which me and Paul does in his one league. So, we'll see what happens this final week. Good luck to everyone in a playoff. Chris is out to play spoiler. Anthony's out to play spoiler in both leagues, and
Yeah,
I need to win.
Guess who clinched the playoff spot there?
Is that you, sir?
Oh, huh, that's a good guess. Good job. Good job, man.
Nice.
All right, so now, stay on football real quick before we get to some El Clasico.
I was gonna ask you what's the next
It's
segment.
going to be Redskins talk. And
Cool.
the name of the video right this week is, I think Krik Cousins needs to stay now. I think there's no question about it. He's playing lights out this year. I mean, from last year, he's being incredible. Pay him 20. If he wants $24 million a year, I think that's what he should get. I think he's playing like an elite quarterback. I think right now he's a top 3 quarterback in the league. I don't know how
Stats-wise, you have to say he is.
I don't know
yeah.
how you can say he's not. I mean, yeah, he's lost to Dallas twice this year, but let's be honest, only one team has beaten Dallas this year. Go ahead and give a smile. Give a smile. There you go. But really, only one team has beaten Dallas this year. They've gone through a couple, elite quarterbacks themselves and shutting them down. So, really, I think Kurt has deserved himself for this contract. Chris, you got the Skins jersey on. Does he deserve this contract?
Let me I wanted to let you talk first, and then I wanted to, give this interesting stat and get you both of your opinions. So obviously right now he's playing for just about under 20 million, right? 19 point whatever.
Yeah.
If you go and look at his projected stats and you compare those projected stats for this season to Ryan Fitzpatrick's stats from last season, they're almost identical. Almost. You're talking give or take a couple hundred yards, but over a 16 game season, it's pretty much identical. The Jets ended up with a 10-6 record, which is a better record than I think the Redskins are going to have. And let me ask you, how much is he getting paid this year?
What was it, 17 something million?
Who,
like 12
Fitzpatrick's 12.
12 between 12 and 13 million.
Well, that's because he had to give in.
But that's what I'm saying. Why is there such a big disparity between Ryan Fitzpatrick getting 12, 13 million and Krik Cousins is going to be commanding, over 20 million? If they have exactly the same stats.
He's not wrong.
I mean, you have a point there, but I'm looking up something about Ryan Fitzpatrick real quick that I'm going to throw out there.
Well, I guess maybe it's
Age.
the
There we
actual-
go. Age. Fitzpatrick's 34 years old, man. How many more years are you really going to get out of him?
How old is Tom
I
Brady?
wouldn't have given him $12 million,
That
man.
is a big difference between Tom Brady and Ryan Fitzpatrick.
How old
Don't
is
even
Peyton Manning?
compare that. You can't
is
even
Peyton Manning?
compare them.
How old is
That's
Peyton Manning?
ridiculous. Don't even know. I'm not even answering
I'm just
that.
saying. Look,
Obviously,
I-
he's older, but still, there's no comparison.
of course, I want to keep Kirk Cousins. I think right now he is our best option at quarterback.
But do you want to start over? Because that's what's going to happen if you let him walk. You have to
Okay.
start over.
How
Are
many
you willing?
How many holes do we have in the defense right now, though, that we can take care of with $100 million that we're going to give him?
I see what you're saying here, but let's put it this way. Let's say Kurt is a elite quarterback. You have to start over with another quarterback, and then
Oh.
you're probably sacrificing another 1 to 2 years where this guy can win
Let
you
me just-
now.
Let me just ask you a question real quick. You just called him
You-
an elite quarterback, so you have him in the same, you know, elite status as Tom Brady, Drew Brees. Is that what you're telling me?
As of right now,
Yes.
you do. With what he's done for the past season and a half, you do.
All right. He's shown me a lot, but I don't have him as an elite status.
You've never been on Kirk Cousins, though.
I have.
You have never. You're still on. If
Still.
RG3
That's what
was
I'm
still
saying.
here, you would still want.
Listen,
Chris
Listen,
might as well
listen,
be in the
listen,
Redskins
listen.
office right now deciding his
Listen.
paycheck because
I'm just saying he is our best option right now, but
You
I'm
still
not gonna.
think
I'm not
RG3
willing.
is a better quarterback?
I don't think he's a better
And you
quarterback.
did earlier this year.
I thought he would be in the top, what, 20?
25, he said.
20 or 25?
Too bad. He's like since he's been out, he's like number 30.
He's coming back. Don't
Well,
worry.
when he comes back, we'll compare his numbers with everyone else's numbers for the last 4 or 5 games,
I'd
would've.
say-
We'll see how it goes.
No,
you
stop.
need to compare
listen.
how long he lasts on the field. is what
Speaking
you
of
need to
RG3,
compare.
he got blasted on Twitter today. Did you see that?
Why? Because his wallet was stolen?
No, his wife his wife went on and just blasted him with tweets.
I didn't know
I'll
what
send
that
it to you
felt
guys.
about.
It was hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But anyway.
what's the argument we're having here right now?
Should the rest? Okay, you're a Giants fan. You're right in the middle of this. If you're in the Redskins position, you see what Kurt's been doing the past 2 years. Do you pay him over $20 million a year?
Yeah, I think they're going to.
They're going
I
to.
do it?
Should no? I'm asking you. Should they?
Man, I'm huge. I hate playing on it. Like, they didn't have the confidence in him last. I wouldn't say the confidence. They didn't have the confidence to give him the contract this past off season. I don't know
They
what
did.
makes this season any different, because he's playing on a 1-year contract, and they say some guys play great on 1-year contracts, and once they get that, will he get complacent? I wouldn't even be surprised if they do something crazy. And if he does end
They
up
said they're gonna
walking,
franchise
why not trade
him.
for Tony Romo? If they're in a win now mentality, Tony Romo's not good.
Look what
Tony
happened
Romo's
the
not
last
good?
time they traded for an old NFC quarterback. Now McNabb was done. He was done.
But they've done it before,
As a
so it's not like it's not something
Okay.
they would think about.
Okay, that's easy for you to say as a Giant fan base. For
And that's
so
under
No, it has
different-
nothing to do with that.
That's
I'm
under
not
different
saying you
management,
should.
Too.
I'm not saying you should. I think you give the contract to Cousins. You give him the 5 or 6 years, and he's going to get more now than what this tender was because of the season he's having. If they don't make the playoffs, he still gets the contract. I don't think that's at any point now that's in jeopardy. That's a done deal. He's getting the contract.
That was my next
I said,
question.
do you think they might go after Romo is all I asked, if they let him walk.
no, God no, because you turn your back on this fan base.
That was my next question.
Don't do
Is what happens as of right now if the season ended? We're in the playoffs. We're in the 6th seed, but there's still a lot more football left to play.
Guess
So-
what? If you're in the playoffs right now, guess who you get to play in the first round? You get to avoid the Seahawks. Good luck with that, Anthony. And you get
We'll take him.
you get the
We'll go to
Detroit
Seattle.
Lions. It's not
But-
bad.
But listen. That's what I'm saying. There's still a lot
Hey,
more football
Lions are a
left
good
to
team,
play. So do
Yeah.
we? If
Yeah.
we don't make the playoffs, if we miss it by a couple spots, then what?
You keep him.
He still gets
Do
the
you-
contract. You don't think
Still
so?
say you give him the contract.
What's your plan B?
Yeah, don't even say Colt McCoy because I'll come to your house
No.
right
Can
now.
they
and smack.
still throw a franchise
So
tag
you
on him?
you either draft a
can-
rookie
You
and
can't
start
I think
over.
You can.
Can't franchise tag him again, can you? I thought once
Yes,
you do it once,
yes,
you can't
you
do
can.
it.
They said you
You
can.
can do it 2 years in a row?
It increases. The value will increase each year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
So I think how much did he make last
That
year?
would be stupid.
Or
though.
this year?
19. That would be even more money. If
I
they're
think
gonna
it goes
if they're
up-
gonna
I think it goes
franchise
up
tag him
like
for over 20, they might as well sign him.
22 or something.
Might as well sign him.
I
I
thought
say
it was
you
like
sign him.
26.
Let's be honest. When's the last time the Redskins had a quarterback like this? that
Why
they-
not sign him for 5 years and do an opt-out clause if they're that unsure about this,
I swear you can't let someone like this walk.
or do 3 years with two options on the team's part for the 4th and 5th season if they're that unsure and they don't want to commit to it. But to let him walk for nothing is not the
No.
play.
This
No,
guy
that's
has
not gonna
improved
happen.
every year he's been in Washington.
Yeah, man.
I was.
I see
was
what
hearing,
Chris is saying though.
I was hearing this one stat that on a radio show around here they were saying that Kirk Cousins is going to be the first quarterback in a long time to start all 16 games.
I was listening to that this morning too.
Yeah, all 16 games for two seasons straight.
That's jinx.
That's not no.
Can't be dropping that stuff. He hasn't played all 16 yet.
wood.
Don't say stuff like that yet.
wood.
Yeah. You better knock on wood, Paul.
But the thing is that they were saying that he was good. I mean, he's good enough. He's that not many quarterbacks around the league. First of all, not many teams around the league. First of all, have a quarterback who's been able to do that. Second of all, has the ability to be able to avoid and scramble and throw away the passes when he needs to avoid these potential injuries. Unlike an RG3
that was
or
this
something like
afternoon.
that. Yeah.
With Chad Duke
Yeah.
versus the world.
Well, here's the one thing I definitely like is the fact, and I've seen this is a huge difference between RG3 and Krik Cousins, is when you see him, whether it's on TV or in the stadium, you can literally see him go from his first read to his second read to his third read to his fourth read, all within a matter of 2 to 3, maybe 4 seconds, which is something that RG3 never did.
Because RG3 wasn't meant
Listen,
he was not football IQ.
That's what I'm getting to, is the fact that he is definitely a step up in terms of his ability, his awareness, his ability to read the coverage and say, okay, he's not open, he's not open, he's not open, he's not open. All right, check down, let's go to the next play. So that's definitely one thing that I say he's definitely improved on, and is a much big step up from what we had before.
Okay, so here we go. Final
Once
question.
again, I don't think we should sign him for 24, 25 million. But if we can get him for 20, 22, let's do it.
Okay, so here's my question for you. First, Anthony, let's go with you as a Giants fan. From a Russian's point of view, do you have to sign Krik Cousins to a 4-year
Absolutely.
deal?
There's no
Chris,
question in my
do
mind.
we need him here 4 more years?
We do.
Do you?
I just wish there's a way that we can somehow save
the
some money there, because the market right now he's going to command a lot more than what he's making.
Of course, Brock Osweiler got like $17 million. He sucks.
No, but you have to pay him. You have,
Especially
why?
the Texans for
Why
Brett.
is
Yeah,
it?
you gotta
Why
pay
is
them
it?
then.
Why is it now the Redskins are being, they're
Cheap?
being cheap?
Stingy?
Because they have a new
Yeah.
GM. and
They
they're
spent
scared.
$100 plus million on the fat baby man, whatever that guy was, who just like,
Hainsworth.
yes.
Well, that
How you
that
gonna-
was
you
that
know
was
what I
under a
mean?
different
Thank you for
GM.
that, by the way. Thank you
That
for
was a
that,
different
because
GM.
the Giants were going to get him, and you guys signed him. So thank you for that. I never got to thank you for that,
Thank
but
you
thank
for
you for
taking him
that.
away from us.
He was
I'm
good on your
saying,
team.
He
The-
was,
on
but then he
the
got
quarterback
that big,
position-
He also stepped on a guy.
as long as it's taken the Redskins to find a quarterback like this to keep him stay, they should not be lollygaggling around and just like,
100%.
if any position, this is the position that they should put the money in. And
You have to shore it up.
This is the first time they've had a quarterback that can play multiple seasons since Jason Campbell, and this guy's 100 times better than Campbell.
I would say he's better than Jason Campbell.
Listen,
The
man.
Redskins have not had a true starting quarterback that can lead them to the playoffs. Maybe a yearly kind of basis since shit. You gotta go to when they won the Super Bowl. Maybe Gus Frerotte when he was here for a couple of years.
Johnson?
Brad Johnson, yeah,
Brad
maybe.
Johnson?
The
Guillermo-
fact is of the whole situation
Guillermo must be going.
is you have to look at the division
Yeah.
of the NFC East from the top down, and outside of the Giants, there's 3 young quarterbacks. They have to stay on track and keep Cousins in house, because it's only going to be harder for the next 10 years if they let him walk and they have to keep trying to find someone new, because Prescott and Wentz almost look entrenched in their positions, and they're both rookies. And
And there's
Eli's 30, 36, so he's probably got maybe 3-4 more years. So the Giants are going to do the same, but to keep Cousins in that role, you're going to have to. It's almost like you have to hand the guy a blank check. I know that it's not something Chris wants to hear, but they're going to have to hand him the money that he wants. They went out there and they went and got a big defensive player in Norman this past offseason, spent a good amount of money on him, and they're going to have to do the same to keep Cousins. And they're going to have to say, this is the guy, this is our team's number one guy, whether it's offense or defense. So let's build around him and figure it out, because as you can see now at running back, a guy that I thought was going to be great, Jones, they're healthy scratching him now. So, and they've been playing Kelly. So we'll see.
Yeah.
They got a lot of uncertainties. And again, Jackson and Garcon, another 2 guys, they have to start figuring out what's going to go on with the 2 of them.
Yep.
So there's a lot of uncertainty there in the future. And I think that the first thing comes first. Krik Cousins
Quarterback.
gets signed and they make sure that he's there.
Yep.
I mean, there's a good chance we don't have either one of those receivers that you just mentioned. I mean,
Yeah, you guys have so many weapons when you look at that team. I mean, like everyone's always like, oh, well, this. It's because the guys don't have flashy numbers because number one, I don't care what anyone says. Jordan Reed is a top 3 tight end, and if he's healthy, I think he could be the best tight end.
I'm sorry,
and I don't
this
want to say
year
that.
he's the best one because Gronk is just not healthy this year.
And that's what I'm saying. He's a top 3 tight end no matter what. When he's healthy, I think he's the best, man. The guy makes. I mean, he had that amazing catch on Thanksgiving against the Cowboys, and he makes play after play. But like you said at receiver, you have Jackson and Garcon. You still have the rookie Doxson, who really hasn't gotten to
Hasn't even
show
got
anything.
a chance to show.
Well,
anything.
he's done for
Crowder,
the year.
another guy. That's another great
underrated
reception
player.
guy for you guy.
Crowder's
He's
underrated.
a great
Yeah.
yard
Crowder,
after catch guy.
And I said, Chris, I think we mentioned this last year when they drafted him. Crowder was the replacement for Santana Moss.
Mm-hmm.
He fills what
he's
Santana
done well. So he's done well. I think they have to get Cousins. They have to sign Garcon. I think Deshaun Jackson will be the guy that's the odd man out here when it comes to the contract. But they have to.
He hasn't stayed healthy.
It's not even that Deshaun's bad because he still has that speed.
He
blew by.
Yeah.
We saw it this week
on Thursday.
It's just the health. The health is
gone.
You got to look at.
So, I think that he has to.
What about Vernon
Also,
Davis?
someone wrote top 3. I don't think so. Maybe top 5. Alex wrote that in the chat. Are you talking about Jordan Reed?
Most likely. Yeah. Most likely you're talking about that.
I mean, I definitely think top 5 without a question. Me personally,
no doubt.
I think he's a top 3. No, to me, top 3, no doubt, but top 5, no doubt for sure.
So who you've got in your top 3 then? Gronkowski. I'm pretty sure we're all there.
Right now, I don't know, man. I would say Kelsey. Kelsey's been really good for Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
I
think
top 3 would be
right there,
Gronk, Kelsey, and Reed.
Gronk really hasn't had the numbers. That's the thing for me.
I'm talking when they're all healthy.
Overall, Gronk, Kelsey,
if you're talking
and
5,
I put Olsen right there to round out the top 5.
Alex in the chat room, why don't you put up your top 3? Let us know what you think.
So right now, top 3. If they're healthy, Gronk, Reed, Kelsey.
That's what I would do. Yeah.
One of the main things but before we get off the topic of Cousins is that I think what Washington has been looking for in the past however many years that we haven't had a quarterback is just being competitive and giving us some type of hope. And that's really what he's been able to bring these past couple of years. And not only that, but he's actually producing. Like we've just mentioned, he's in the top. He's number 2 in terms of not receiving yards, passing yards. He's putting up great numbers. He's really keeping us in a lot of games. The defense is letting us down, but he is keeping us in a lot of games, making the right reads, hitting the open receivers, keeping the play and the drive going. And I think, like I said, he's given us hope. He's given us a chance. And I think you're right. I think it'd be stupid for us to let him go.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the team is doing everything's falling in the right spots for him. Balls are falling our way. We got what's his name? Vernon Davis, or what?
Yeah, I didn't even mention him. Yeah, it's another great guy that you guys have there. Really having a great season.
Yeah, he's firing up, and then Kelly also. That guy is, to me, he seems like he's going to be a ridiculous. Is he a running back, right? Yeah. Did I say that position right? Yeah. Just the way he get, I was watching him, the way he just he
fights
cuts
for the extra yards. If he gets stopped at 2 yards after the line of scrimmage, he's going to get you another 2 yards.
Yeah. Does it remind you of a lot of the situation last year, though, where Matt Jones unseated Morris and they let Morris go, and now this year Kelly.
Well, hopefully Kelly
unseats.
For a while.
Yeah, but
Morris.
Morris always had the drop in the puck syndrome going for him the whole last year? Wasn't he fumbling a whole bunch?
That was more Jones this past the season before.
Oh,
but
sorry,
I don't know, man. I still like Jones. I know it's not a common thing, but Kelly has definitely earned his right to get more touches regardless. And Thompson's not bad either on third down. So.
Oh no, he's a great third down back.
Yeah.
The only question with him was health.
Alex in the chat room says Walker over Reed, Gronk, Kelly?
Kelsey.
He's
Gronk, Kelsey.
He's a fellow
Olsen.
Titan fan for me, and Alex, I love Delaney Walker. Delaney Walker could be he's definitely a top 7,
top 5. I put Walker as mine. I had Walker at number 5 for me.
Titan fan for me, and
Alex,
I love Delaney Walker.
I have Walker in a top 5 as well, but he's saying they need a tall wideout, and that's going to be Doxson's role, is what you're thinking going forward, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's what they drafted him for. I know they were trying a lot. I know you guys talked about it, that they kept trying to get him on the fade routes a lot, and it wasn't working out. But I think that's what Doxson's role will be, and I think that he'll definitely be a big, part of the system next season when they figure out what's going on at receiver for them.
He will. He's got the whole year, the whole off season to get healthy, and we drafted him that high for a reason. So
yeah,
we'll see him next year.
Yep.
Before we move on, do 3 teams from the NFC East make it into the playoffs?
Yes.
No.
Do you think the tie comes back to hurt the Redskins? How about that, to you and Paul?
I think if
Yes.
anything, it might come back to. Couldn't it come back to help us? Are there any scenarios
I'm asking
where
you.
it could?
You tell me.
I don't know.
You think it does, Chris?
I think it will. I mean, the last, was it 5 or 6 games we have? I can't remember, but I was just looking at it yesterday. There's some teams that initially, in the beginning of the season when we did the preview, we were like, we can't win these games. There's no way we're going to win. There's no way we're going to win against Arizona. There's no way we're going to win against Carolina. These teams are beatable right now. Arizona is pretty much out of it. If they lose this week, they're done.
Yeah.
And Carolina has been really inconsistent, up and down. I'm not sure if Luke Kuechly is coming back, but he's basically the heart of that defense. And if he's not in, they're beatable. So a lot of these games that we thought are completely not winnable games, all of a sudden have become winnable games. So it's just a matter of whether our defense shows up for me.
Yeah,
All right.
I agree.
So
Matt's
we will-
itching over there because of time constraints, huh?
No.
What happened?
Nothing.
Matt's probably looking at the time.
All right, so we're gonna move on real quick before
Oh,
we head out.
somebody trying to get you to hurry up and come downstairs?
No. Wait.
Alex says
Wait,
just
real quick before we head
go.
out, El Clásicos this weekend. We have Real Madrid versus Barcelona.
Yep. It's a big
I'm
game.
wearing the Real Madrid jersey, but I'm gonna give the edge to Barca this week. You know, no Gareth Bale; he's out for 4 weeks, so I'm just gonna give the edge to Barca. I think it's gonna be. I hate to say this, but I think Barca wins this maybe 3-1. Chris, what's your prediction?
I think the game will end up being 2-1, but I'm really struggling to see who's going to win 2-1 because right now Barcelona is not playing Barcelona football. And the reason for that, one of the biggest reasons for that is Andres Iniesta has been out for basically a month, a little over a month. He's fit. He's coming back. So physically, he's cool. You know, he's ready to go. But is he going to be mentally game ready? I think so. I think you could pretty much plug him in, and he's going to pick up right where he left off. But for right now, I think this game comes down to who is going to win the ball in the middle third. Whose midfield is going to have the most control and be able to create the most chances. Right now, it's been Real Madrid. But from past instances and past matchups, I think basically the team who really needs the win the most kind of pushes out the win. So I think I'm giving the home team the win, Barcelona 2-1.
All right. All right. I think we had a pretty good show this week. Pretty good discussion on Krik Cousins, what we were going for, whether he should stay or go. So, Paul, I'm going to turn it over to you.
I put my mic up. Sorry. Yeah. Thanks, Matt. Right. So thanks to everybody in the chat room for joining in. Please go ahead and give us a like on the Facebook page. And if you can, run over to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Give us a like there. Share us out. Tell your friends. Everything. It'll help support the show for sure. You can, if you want to get in touch with us, you can tweet us at Shipe Sports Talk. You can send us email at shipesportstalk@gmail.com, and you can also find us on Facebook at Facebook.com/Shipes Easy Kill.
What?
/Shipe Sports Talk on Facebook, of course. So, again, thanks everybody in the chat room, Guillermo, and Alex. Yeah. And everybody else who's tuning in. Thank you so much. We very much do appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right,
And
once
I
again,
agree with Guillermo's last comment there that the bench right now, Real Madrid's bench, it will outplay Barcelona's bench, and we've seen that in the past few games. Barcelona just hasn't really been creating chances. Both of them have been suffering injuries. Bale is out, Jordi Alba's out, and basically Real Madrid's bench players have been stepping up. So I think Guillermo's perfectly right on with that.
yeah. So, once again, everyone, thank you for joining us. We got a lot covered today. Krik Cousins debate was always good. RG3 will not be a top 25 quarterback this year. But
We'll see in the last 4 weeks.
also, congrats to Anthony Rendon, comeback player of the year for the NL, so a good thing for the Nationals. And I think
And
we're getting
Porcello on the AL.
winter meetings start in 2 weeks, so we'll get more into baseball with that. So, for myself, Anthony, Chris, and Paul, thank you for watching. Tune in to OT3 next Monday at 7 for our TL's Table, Ladders, and Chairs review show. And join us next Tuesday again as we discuss the college football playoffs as the final 4 teams will be revealed. So looking forward to that. So guys, thanks for joining me again. Thank you everyone for watching and have a good day.
Have a good night, everybody. Congrats on your Turkey Bowl again.
Yeah, Turkey Bowl champion.
You're lucky I wasn't out there, man.
We have an elite superstar on our hands, guys. Anyway, see you guys.
See ya.
Good night.